What's your perspective on, can there ever be one unified pool of inventory? Do we have to solve the planning issue first and let, again, if you have to go to 5 different stores to buy the ingredients for your dinner, it's a little annoying, but if you're getting the stuff you want, so what's your perspective?
Well, I think it's a real problem, first of all, so I agree with them that that's not something we want to do. As long as there are walled gardens, as long as our friends at Google and Facebook keep their data to themselves, there will always be at least 3, possibly 4, maybe 5, depending on what some of our other players are doing. I know Xandr and AT&T are being talked about in the press. The reality is that over time, as TV becomes all IP delivered, all inventory will be made available in the same place in the same way. Now, it's a long road to get there, and there's a lot of systems with a lot of legacy that we'll have to think about. But eventually, there will be a reduced number of marketplaces as well as one report across channels that advertisers will be able to look at.
Got it, got it. Dave said 10 years. Are you more optimistic than 10 years?
I'm typically a glass half full person, so I think it's a bit faster than that, but it's definitely a few years out. I mean, when you have legacy television, there's just systems that don't work with our current systems, and no matter how great a digital system or addressable we develop, as long as there are these legacy systems, we're not going to be able to get the data we need. We're not going to be able to target the way we need to.
Yeah, and it seems like in life, things don't die. I mean, I always use the analogy, I think there's still a couple of million AOL dial-up subs.
Yeah, my mom's one of them.
So it doesn't die. So 10 years from now, someone will still be selling some linear spots just to screw things up.
I think I still have a CD in my desk somewhere.
There we go. There we go. Okay. So you made a pretty major announcement in October when you announced the development of your own optimizer.
That's right.
Could you maybe spend a little bit of time, describe what it does, and maybe describe how you envision your optimizer working with the planning and allocation functions that advertisers and agencies are doing?
Sure. So the way that our optimizer works is we previously had a out of the box, off the shelf, whatever you want to call it, optimizer in-house. But what we would do is we would take the second-by-second viewership data, and then we would be able to take a target, whether it be first party, our advertisers, most of them actually bring their own, or Comcast data, First Wall data. We just also announced that, that we are able to take ComScore data through the OpenAP platform. Right. And we're able to look where in that media plan, where in that schedule down to the show level, that the optimizer is able to find your audience in its highest concentration at a desired frequency. And if you think about it, the optimizer is really a set of levers that you're able to pull. Are you focused mostly on price? Is it concentration? Is it reach? And then what it does is it outputs a media plan that allows you to decide on where you should be placed based on the audience. And of course, you can have your different restrictions. Maybe you only want a certain percent overnight. Maybe you're not a Bravo fan. Maybe, certain sports don't want to be included. So it really is customizable, and we know all of our inventory very well. So it makes sense that we would develop that ourselves and be able to customize our algorithms depending on what we're trying to do. We're also looking to roll that out to make portfolio plans as well.
But how does then the work you're doing in terms of creating these plans then dovetail to what the work that an agency is doing? I mean, do you expect that in the future they're going to come to you with one big pool of NBCU money, and then the optimizer takes care of finding the best place to place that?
No, I don't believe that's true. I think in the future we're still going to see sponsorships. I don't think that everything is going to be audience bought. Right. I think that there will be a portion that is bought on an emotional buy. Maybe you want This Is Us. Maybe you want contextual intelligence. We've just developed that as well. We announced that this week. But sometimes some of it will be audience bought, and they'll bring their money to us, and we'll look across the various networks to find the most optimized buy.
Yep. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the announcement you made this week. One of the things I think when you step back, we've spent a lot of time thinking about the who and how you target, and we haven't thought about other elements that could be added into that decision, like context, that could potentially drive greater ROI for the advertiser. So maybe talk a little bit about what you're doing.
Sure. I think in the future, the ultimate vision is to marry the audience and the contextual, because that's really where the magic happens and where you're getting the best buy. So right now, what we're doing is called contextual intelligence, and we're actually combing the metadata. We're going through closed captioning scripts and understanding what kind of programming is happening. So, for example, if you have a scene in This Is Us and it's a wedding scene, so how can we place a wedding ad next to that to make sure the feeling continues to go on?
Yep.
If I'm watching a wedding scene, I'm emotional, or maybe Jack's, I won't give you any spoilers. But so if I'm watching a wedding scene.
Kleenex. It should be a Kleenex ad.
Right. Do you want to see a hamburger ad?
Yeah. No.
No. But is there a time and a place for it? Absolutely. So we think that understanding the context in which an advertisement is placed is very important. So for the actual programs itself, we're combing the metadata, making sure we understand what they are talking about in the scene. Is it a wedding? Is it a car crash? But we're also using emotional intelligence scores, because there's also negative connotations. If someone says they went to the worst wedding they ever went to, the bride ran out, and you don't want to be next to that wedding.
Sure.
So we look at the emotional score, and then on the ad side, we actually have the ad brief from the agencies, and then we do a video review to make sure we understand the exactly what's in the ad and the emotion, and we put a module score next to the context, and we match them up.
That's very cool. And do you believe that this could scale big enough to really matter?
Absolutely. So previously, this was done in spots here and there where there was a lot of manual review, but this is actually all AI-driven. So it's an automated process. The scripts are reviewed automatically. The videos are reviewed automatically. Everything's through a machine, so we can fully scale this product.
That's very cool. So maybe last couple of questions. So you guys made a big announcement last May when you joined OpenAP?
That's right. That's right.
So maybe two questions. What drove your decision, and to what extent do you think OpenAP, as it's constituted now, is doing enough to ease the friction in audience buying? And what do you think in terms of the roadmap could be done to sort of add some more oil so this stuff all happens at greater scale?
I think the first question was what drove our decision. Yeah. So we are fully in support of all initiatives that help the industry, that make buying easier, that removes the friction. I don't know where Dave is, but we stand for much the same in terms of vision. However, we have been investing in our audience products for over 3 years. So in its first instantiation, we thought OpenAP was a great thing for the future of the industry, but it just wasn't far along enough. So our decision to join was, when was joining OpenAP not going to set us back with our own systems? Because we had ways of doing things, investments had been made. So we felt when it was mature enough, we would take the plunge, if you will. So earlier this year, we made the decision to join OpenAP. We joined, I think, officially in the late summer. The second question, I believe, was, does it do enough to solve the friction? To have a major impact on the friction that exists in terms of audience buying. It doesn't. I think it's very much a work in progress, and we're tasked with a gigantic problem. And it's great that we now have over 50% of the inventory in the industry, but we need to do more. And those 4 companies, so Turner, Fox, Viacom, and NBC, and then by extension Univision, coming together is really the best thing for the industry, because while we don't solve enough friction today, that's our best chance by keeping it simple, maintaining our premiums. I know there was concern, I think Laura brought it up, about where do we put our inventory so it doesn't lose value, and then most importantly, how do we pool our investment dollars so that we can compete with the larger digital companies in the space. Got it.
One last question. So in our conversation, you talked about your view on audience selling and the need for it to be done high touch in consultation with the agency and the advertisers, so you really understand who it is they want to reach, so you're able to do the right job of optimizing against the right target. Describe a little bit about how that works and the agency's willingness to play that way.
Well, I think it's important to note that while we can do it that way, we don't have to. We feel like whether it's self-service through our programmatic products or whether it's through our managed products, we can really operate both ways. Some agencies require more of a high-touch approach, and that's completely fine. And one of the big challenges that we have is that all of the agencies are in such a different place with their own systems that they really require different approaches, and that makes it hard whether it's speaking for NBCU, and I also think it makes it difficult for OpenAP because we have all these different constituents with their own systems, with their own approaches, and their own level of sophistication.
And their own data.
And their own data. Our own system as well as OpenAP, we can take their data. We understand that being able to use that first-party data is necessary.
Got it.
So we just have to have a variety of ways to deal with the different advertisers, big, small, sophisticated or not. And eventually we hope they get to a similar level, but in the meantime, we're in an exploration phase while TV goes through this lack of investment while things change to IP delivery. And until that happens, I think we're going to be faced with a variety of issues.